Matthias Collins from down in South America is with us. And who else, Julia, here as we look? I'll turn your mic up. There we go.
Oh, there
Gordon
we go.
Smith is on in Denmark. Ted Ryman in Toasty, Cape Town. He says it's going to be really hot there. I just got a text from him. Jeff Ogle, TGIF from Annapolis. Who are you saying? I'm Chick. Emmett's on. I talked to John this morning. Alan Long in northeastern Ohio. Stingray from partly sunny, obviously, Seattle. And Duncan Withrow up in Ottawa in Canada. And somebody, Anna Ann's trying to friend us, Julia. I don't think we need her right now. Let's get on the air here for today's show. Everybody, welcome to Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club in sunny, nice, cold, but sunny winter's day here in San Francisco. I'm your host, Tom Ehman, as you all probably know, unless you're brand new here. My co-host, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, is across the studio here from me. We are socially distanced of approximately 6-7 feet in case either of us has the bloody COVID.
Yes.
And so far as we know, we have not had it. Right?
No.
Despite
knock on wood.
Everyone else around us now seems to have it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm just getting a text from Chris Ray, who is on day 13. Our friend here at St. Francis Yacht Club provides us any number of our photos. This is not the cover photo. The cover photo is actually a Sharon Green photo taken, I guess, during a big boat series. But C. Ray does as well. As we look at some of the other comments, there's Jody saying, good day for Wanji, 50 laps around the sun for him today. Yes, he is
yes.
50 years old. We're going to celebrate that. He says he doesn't feel a day over 75. Bill Wingrove down in Tampa. Julie Ahrens in Cleveland. Anthony, there's a new name, sort of, I think. Hello, Anthony Payne from L.A. And Rob Sternstein, as usual, is here. Ted Ryman, we mentioned.
Joyce Shirola.
Who else? Oh, Joyce is on. She's out in Hawaii normally, isn't she?
She is. She's at home on the Big Island.
My mother says it's too, Janice F. Davis, it's too damn cold here to take out my trash. Rhonda Shields, happy Aussie 50th birthday to Jody. Rhonda is his wife and his daughter. Well, let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah.
I think it's time to get into it. And just say welcome to our show number 489. Closing in, as we always say, on 500 for Friday, the 21st of January, 2022. And right at the top of the show, we want to extend a formal and not so formal, but both congratulations, happy birthday to Jody Shields here with his daughter, Sami. I don't know if they say Sammy or Sami. Mm-hmm. And she just turned 20, I think, last Saturday, Julia.
She's beautiful.
She's gorgeous. And she has also announced her engagement.
Oh, really?
Her engagement, I think, was announced on her 20th birthday last Saturday. So congratulations to Rhonda, Jody, Sammy, and her fiance. And we've got a little bit of appropriate birthday music here, I think, for Jody.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Shark. Happy birthday,
I haven't
Shark.
seen that.
Happy
I haven't either.
birthday to you,
Thanks to Pink
baby
Fong.
Shark. It's for you.
It's for you.
Have fun today. Thank you. I'm so happy.
Well, if you're wondering why we're running that video for Jody, just stay tuned because you'll see in our corrector croutonic segment that we have this Pink Fong video. It just went over 10 billion views. I think we told you that on the show not too long ago.
Yeah.
10 billion views for that
The most
baby shark
ever
video, YouTube
videos.
or otherwise.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's now getting featured, I see here on news shows.
Yeah.
And people talking about how irritating the music is, but it's for us, it's all fun, right?
Yeah.
Jody, happy birthday.
Indeed.
And congratulations to your daughter. You obviously can tell I had too much time on my hands preparing this the slides for today's show. Happy birthday, Jody. And I didn't know whether to, well, let me back that up. I didn't mean to get into that quite so quick. There's that. And then the happy birthday. And then this slide, do you know, Julia, what day it is today? I thought it was appropriate. We ran this right after Jody's birthday.
Oh, only because you told me.
It is Happy International Fetish, I kid you not, International Fetish Day. And I thought it was appropriate for us to have a look at this, Julia. What, do you have any fetishes?
I don't think so.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
Everybody's got fetishes.
I must. Or I have so many I don't.
Maybe you're just generally kinky. I don't know. It's a real thing. It is really a day. And I don't have a rubber fetish by any means, but you know, you have to think about maybe this is the way we should be promoting sailing, Julia. Talk about wetsuits and a rubber look at her. You can shake your finger if you want.
Oh.
Wetsuits, rubber, which is, I guess, quite a common popular fetish. Now, the moths in the UK are sponsored by the Wetsuit Outlet. Same company here in the US is Water Sports Outlet. Water Sweatsuit, I kid you not, we are water sports. That's their theme. You know what water sports are, right? Okay, I'm not going to go into that. We'll let somebody put that. Gordon Smith saying, Lordy, we do explore the boundaries on this show only in San Francisco. Only in San Francisco, Lockhart is saying. Oh dear, help me. Emmett is saying, my birthday is in a week. I want you to play that awful greeting for me. My mom, Janice Davis, is saying, things are going downhill fast. Wingrove is in Baton Rouge saying up above. Now I've seen it all. But I'm not kidding. This Wetsuit Outlet has been sponsoring the Moth Nationals in the UK for years, 2020, 2021. And now, you know, we got to celebrate, you know, this day. How did it come about? Now, what kind of what nationality do you think brought this international day to us?
I don't know.
The Brits. Who else but the Brits?
Yes.
Today, supporting the BDSM community originated in the United Kingdom as National Fetish Day and was first held on the 21st of January, 2008. And the main purpose is to increase awareness and support of the fetish community, yada, yada, yada. I couldn't resist, especially since we had Jody's birthday today, and since I also wanted to segue from this segment to our other
Shame on you.
And I just wanted to thank Andrew
Shame on you.
McErvin, of course, the Brit, who's a senior serious member of the RORC and the Royal Yacht Squadron and Secretary General of the International Maxi Association. Now, didn't you like the way we worked that together?
No.
Wetsuits look great on anyone, Jonathan Frank is saying, at least under 30. Get that finger wagging, Julia.
Well, I did.
Huh?
Yes, indeed.
Let's get that finger wagging.
Ah!
Now, see, you have to remind me, I'm trying to play the ocean sound, the seascape, anytime I play I go to the comments. I don't know if I'll remember to do that. And then turn it off.
I think it's unnecessary.
You think it's too much?
Yeah.
It might be. Hang on a minute. I'm not a fetishist. A fetishist, Andrew McErvin said. Of course you're not. Thanks, Andrew. The purpose of that, besides the juxtaposition, which I thought would be fun, it was just simply to say thanks for what a great show.
Oh, indeed.
Everybody appreciates all of our guests, but especially Andrew and a couple others when they come on with regularity. They're very popular guests indeed. Since that last show, this topic continues to occupy a lot of you. I've had any number of memes. I'll only play a couple, but Novak's here. He's shown arriving back in Serbia. And now, apparently, Julia, did you read this?
I didn't.
He's apparently going to sue Australia for $6 million in change, saying that's how much it has cost him and he's lost out on. And it's for, I don't know what the basis of the lawsuit will be, but maybe Hamish Ross will get Hamish on here and tell us.
Frivolous.
A frivolous lawsuit, Julia says. Well, this, I think, I can't remember who sent it, but it's terrific. Imagine being the first athlete in history to be banned and deported for not taking drugs. Not taking drugs.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
I think that's cool.
It is.
And then this one, I think this came from Peter Stevenson. I'm not 100% sure. In a shock move, English Cricket Board have announced tennis world number one Novak Djokovic as temporary batting coach for their cricket team. We acknowledge he doesn't have a background in our sport, but we couldn't overlook the fact it took Australia 2 weeks to get him out. Yeah. Oh gosh, it's fun. A little more serious matter here now. We go to Tonga, which things are starting to improve there, but they had a hell of a time just getting through. This article this morning from the New York Times, if you can get into their behind their paywall, terrific long article, and it's the Times when they're really doing journalism and not political stuff. Heard, felt, but rarely seen. How a volcano severed Tonga from the world. The disaster caused by the largest eruption in decades has been defined so far by the nation's near complete disconnection in an ever connected age. I suppose some people would think that was a blessing in disguise if it hadn't been such a horrific.
Yeah. Well, they aren't so excited to get.
Well, and that's the other interesting thing. They're not so happy to have this help, which is coming. This was, I think, Wednesday.
Yeah.
When the first flight came in from Oz, from Australia, and humanitarian relief, obviously, but then they're expressing a lot of concern down there in Tonga, which apparently they have managed to keep COVID out of this whole 2-year period. And they're not sure they want this help, or if they do, they've got to be sure that COVID doesn't somehow affect their closed community there.
Yes.
And then this is a picture from the Royal New Zealand Defence Force as they were flying in there yesterday, Thursday. The RNZ Air Force arrives with some aid. So those two countries, of course, being the two closest major countries, are stepping up as you would expect.
And what kind of shape is that runway in?
Well, apparently that was the first thing they did, of course, was to clean it off. I have some other photos of them cleaning the runway, but the whole country is on all those islands are just covered with volcanic ash. But they cleaned, as you can see in that photo, cleaned it pretty well. Gordon Smith. I saw a comment. Oh, there was something about 5G, that big controversy that's going on about 5G being rolled out at airports. Jonathan Frank saying no 5G at the airport. John Emmett saying we even have 5G in Weymouth and Portland now, so can live stream from the water. Okay, we have 5G here in the marina, don't we?
Yep.
Well, I had been looking for a map, a chart to see the, no pun intended, the lay of the land, but you can see that volcano was up in the upper left corner at that smaller, well, it's a volcano, they're all volcanic islands, obviously, but it's only a couple hundred miles, if that. Mm-hmm. And the North Shore, you can see there in this graphic from this courtesy of the New York Times as well, the extensive damage along the northwestern coast. This is north a little bit, but it's really the northern coast. Residents were evacuated on some of these out islands, homes destroyed and damaged, needless to say, but apparently there were few, if any, deaths. So that's the good news from all that, I suppose. This is a graphic from Vienna from this nuclear testing watchdog, the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization in Vienna, saying that the explosive volcanic eruption in Tonga on Saturday appears to dwarf the largest nuclear detonations ever conducted, according to a global group that monitors for atomic testing. The shock wave from the blast was so powerful that it was detected as far away as Antarctica, says Ronan Labras, a geophysicist with the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization in Vienna, as we mentioned, which oversees an international network of remote monitoring stations. And in fact, they say they still hear the blast going around.
Really?
Yes, even this almost a week later, they can hear echoes of it or traces of it as it's wearing out, as it's gone around the world. And they said they've never seen anything blast anything like this. So this is pretty major. Obviously, I hope everybody down there is safe and they're recovering. It looks like they are. There are a couple of photos that the New York Times had of beach cleanup, and I didn't run them because you all can see that in your news. Probably better, especially in Oz and New Zealand, probably better news than we have here. Mm-hmm. So I won't carry on further except to go look at the comments. Did you see the video from Santa Cruz? Yes, David James, we did. I may have even run it here on the show, didn't we, Julia, the other day? Mm-hmm. Is Aquaman anywhere? Okay, Stingray. Replying to Stingray, he's getting divorced, isn't he? Hello, all. Hi, John Mangino. So I don't know, Julia, if there's any other comments up here. I do like, you don't like playing the little ocean sound behind that when we go to this picture, this graphic with the ocean on it? Goodbye, Djokovic. Joyce Shirella is saying, Gordon Smith, they're all laughing. Andrew says he's got to keep an eye on us, McErvin. Hang on. Okay. Let's get on with it. Get to the starting line. And, there's not a lot going on in the sport right now. I talked at some length this morning with John Emmett, as I do most show mornings, or at least text, but we actually talked on the phone. I also talked with the magnificent Magnus, the Sublime, as we call him now. And, there's some local events here and there, and there's some Olympic training going on here and there, and the transatlantic race where Andrew McErvin still is. He's there, until the 28th, I think he said. He's there for a few more days anyway. But no major events going on, some Olympic regattas in this country and things in New Zealand. They go into hibernation in New Zealand between Christmas and Auckland Day at the end of January. I can't remember.
26th.
20 is that Auckland Day? That's
Australia. That's Australia. Yeah.
That's Australia Day. But anyway, Auckland Day is down in there about the same time. And I talked to Hamish Ross the other day, and he says there's really not much to report. So we get into the starting line. I thought we'd open with John Emmett's
good idea
report, and it's also brief, but noisy.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fozy. I'm reporting today from Portland Harbour. Back to basics, and what I'm thinking about is how to have productive training. And one of the most important things for productive training is to have somebody you're comfortable to spend a lot of time with and who's going to help you progress. So it's not about finding the best sailor to train with, it's about finding the best training partner. Somebody who's going to be open to share ideas and somebody who is going to help you improve. If you look at this little video closely, you might even see there's an additional training partner just popped up their head to say hello.
That, of course, is our super coach, Olympic coach John Emmett, and regular contributor. In fact, to every show now for 5-6 months, Julia,
yes.
At least since before the Olympics in Tokyo. We appreciate John's contributions, and again, invite any of you who want to file similar kinds of reports. John sends me a video in the morning by WeTransfer, and I stick it into the slides. And he puts a lot of thought into it, because here's a really good point, Julia, is that when you're going to go out and train, you're going to spend long hours, cold, hot, long hours
Right.
together. It's like Dennis when he chose Jack Sutphin, the late great Jack Sutphin, Dennis Conner.
Yep.
Dennis is the only person in our sport, I think, who you can use one name, right? Russell, maybe. It's like Cher or Gaga or Dennis. Everybody knows we're talking about Dennis Conner. But it was a good choice by him. Jack Sutphin, who he liked, who he knew was patient, who he knew would spend the long time and hours doing the training with DC when he really professionalized the America's Cup and started doing two-boat testing and so on. And I think John's point is really appropriate. Don't choose the best sailor because they may not be interested. Choose the person who's really interested in learning and progressing along with you.
And whose company you enjoy.
Exactly, which was his opening point.
Yeah.
Well said. Okay, thank you, John Emmett. We appreciate all your reports, shaven or not. Anybody saying anything about just the porpoise? Was a porpoise a dolphin? I don't know. What's the difference between a porpoise and a dolphin? Great advice. That just might help my marriage, Jonathan Frank is saying. It's a dolphin. Yeah, I thought it was a dolphin. New England, Ohio boats took a 3rd, 4th, and 7th in Key West in the J111 class. Thank you, Alan Long. And I think, was it Peter Selwyn said there's a lot going on in Auckland. Well, of course, it's the middle of your summer down there now, and they've got the match racing championships going on there. And I see a lot going on at Lake Macquarie. I'm going to talk about that on Tuesday. They have a big charity race coming up at there in Jody's front yard. Peter Selwyn, who's on YouTube, by the way, saying match racing champs going on at the moment in Auckland. Okay. Dolphins have bigger mouths, John Emmett is saying. Is that right? Dolphins to be okay. Stingray must have had a beer already. I'm sure Jody did. We talked about having beers here in the studio, Julie, but you know we drink our coffee.
Yeah. Well, we'll have another suit to him later in the day.
To Jody.
Yeah.
Tonight we'll raise one for him. That's a good. And we'll raise one always to John. Thanks again, John Emmett, for that report. We appreciate it very much. And we'll proceed on and get into the RORC Transatlantic race, which, as you all know, is still in progress, as some of the boats are still coming in. In fact, that's why Andrew McErvin, who was with us on the show on Friday.
There's a note from him saying the 26th.
Yeah, he's leaving on the 26th, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah. So final report will be next Tuesday.
Okay. Well, he a terrible thing to have to be stuck in Grenada all this time. He's not stuck there at all. They're by choice for the RORC's Transatlantic race and the finishes thereof. We told you on Tuesday when Andrew was on about these yachts, and we gave a Bravo Zulu to the first to finish in the Mully Hull Maserati.
Mm-hmm.
And go back and watch the show if you want some real insight, because Andrew, of course, is not only the Secretary General of the International Maxi Association, but a longtime key figure leader in the Royal Ocean Racing Club. Talked about Comanche and the great performance by them. And, I pinged Andrew, in fact, and he sent a couple of dockside photos. I didn't have time, Andrew, to stick them in the show of Comanche dockside. I could probably go to that here. Have to be careful we don't put any porn on the screen when we do this. Huh? Well, you never know what pops up. So these are some photos that Andrew sent of the boat's dockside in lovely Grenada down there. So that is nice. And I asked him whether Comanche had in fact won on corrected, and he's saying still a small chance Scarlet Oyster could get them. Their highest risk Wax Yala, Waxyala, the 52, the ex Spooky, which is a TP52 New York Yacht Club, Steve Benjamin's boat. Ex-Spooky, but they missed out by an hour. Wastala, he tells me, is the name of the boat in another corrected text. Wastala. So still not confirmed that Comanche has won on corrected, and I'm sure Andrew will keep us posted, because Mitch Booth's a hell of a nice guy and a great sailor, obviously. Olympic medalist more than once, I think, in the Tornado class, a Mully Hull sailor. And he's skippering that boat now, and that is the Shai, son of the Russian owner.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try to get him on. Andrew's going to speak with him next chance he gets and see if either of them would come on. Because, there's a fair bit of racing in Russia. There's a lot of these Russian oligarchs. I mean, call them
right.
What else? And they're pumping a lot of money into the sport. Various offshore events and some smaller races. We ought to talk to some of these guys.
Yes.
If somebody's willing. Of course, they don't want to pop up too high above the parapet.
No.
In Russia, especially what's going on between Russia and Ukraine. I have a theory on that, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's a theory. I think it's a lot of people think. It's just Putin is going to keep putting pressure on Ukraine and the U.S., threaten a war, and the price of gas, price of oil is going to go up and up and up, which just puts more money into Putin's and Russia's pocket, and then he'll call it off after he's reaped I hope.
Well, that's better than starting a war. I'm sorry.
Well, and hopefully we don't have another incident like our president. The guy, you call it elder abuse. The poor guy shouldn't be giving 2 hour. I can barely do a 2-hour show, a 2-hour press conference when you're talking about things with moral and social and military and international significance. Not this guy. We should put McErvin in charge of the U.S. He would herd the cats and get everybody going. Speaking of going, remember when Andrew told us that he had to leave. We didn't. He was very polite, stayed longer than he said he would, but he said this boat, the Poland, I Love Poland, was just about to come in. Well, they now have a video about I Love Poland. Enjoy.
Oh, good.
The Isle of Poland is a project for the really young guys who we would like to bring them to the ocean sailing. So natural, the transatlantic is that's the part of this job. So I think we did it. The plan was to make this race safe first. Then we would like to make this race good. So for sure it was safe. We arrived in a one piece. So we are quite happy. We are happy with performance. Of course, maybe not really with the results, but the results will come sooner or later with these young guys. And that's it. For most of the crew, that was the first transatlantic. So I think it was perfect.
How great for them, right?
I mean, I'm quite happy to sail with them. You can see the emotion, you can see the power, you can see, they really want to do it. So it's great to see it. That it's not only they're playing game with the smartphones or iPads. That they really want to sail. They really want to spend the time on the ocean. The 10 days without the proper nutrition or without the proper food. I mean. So it's perfect. I mean, it was perfect work. They were working together, like a one team. It's perfect to see.
How nice was that?
Really nice.
And good. It's what we need. We keep talking about it on this program. Let's get. I'm going to leave their sponsors up there for a minute. I Love Poland. And let's get young kids off their iPads and off their phones and off their computers and get them out yacht racing. This is what John Sangmeister does with his kids and others. This is what our gang on It's Okay does, the 50-footer that we campaign. I'm of late have not been sailing much with them, but down in Newport Beach and many other programs. You can go back in history and talk about the late, great John Kilroy, and all of you can name people in your countries, in your clubs, who have done this, and we need to redouble this, apropos what John Emmett said in his video on Tuesday when he said about mentorship. And we've got to all do this and do more of it, especially getting young kids, young sailors off their dinghies, off their computers, and onto big boats, let alone in a long transatlantic race, just out for the Wednesday night beer camp. My daughter, Meg, to be fair, Julia, you know this, Meg, who, grew up surrounded by sailing, but we were moving from the U.S. to Germany to Spain, and there were junior programs, but she was more interested in soccer and basketball and whatever else, playing on her computer, frankly. And the whole idea of going sailing in a wet, cold Optimist by herself, or maybe in a 420 and, was not too interesting. But when she finally got back here, sailed a little bit here on the bay in big boats, and then got to San Diego, where she is now, and got to sail on the J105s with the Commodore and sail in the hot rum race and go out on the Wednesday night race and social.
Right.
And have a beer, go back into the bar and have,
Yes, it's part of the game.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
For most people.
Yes.
And that's why we always say sail fast, sail safe, but have fun. And that's the prime directive. If we're not having fun, it's like, we got to recruit more people that have rubber fetishes, maybe.
Shame on you.
I couldn't resist. Okay, we go on to another video. Some of you mentioned that Bauer Becking is on Trifork. Was that the name of this 52? And also a nice video. Have a look.
We had a good game plan before we left. Stuck to the game plan, even made some small alterations, invested a little bit more than probably a lot of people would have thought they wouldn't have done. But that is just there was just great communication about that, and then sailing the boat was quite easy actually, because there's so many hours on board from this type of boats. So that's all kudos to the crew.
Yeah, I mean, we say it's not typical trades, it's not that, but to be honest, it's most of the time it's not typical trades, especially for the fast boats. You want to head a little north of rimline, maybe find a little front, something to sail, but the thing that happened this time was so early on in the race, so it's like a hard 90 degrees turn, so after 2 days you still have the same distance to the finish almost, which is quite aggressive.
We have had all kind of weather on the way, and it has been 9 days, I guess, 8-9 days. I lost count. And we went up very north, you know. So we started, you know, becoming a little bit cold, packing light, and we had heavy breeze, 38 knots, and you know, really steamy conditions. And yeah, just very relieved to be here, and it's really a pleasure.
Turn the mics up. It's really a pleasure. It is.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. Trifork, a lot of great comments. We got to go back. Trifork is a Danish technology services company. Gordon Smith, who lives in Denmark, says he's a Brit, living for a long time in Denmark, married to a Dane. The boat is privately owned and sponsored. Andrew McErvin observing it's a Volvo 70 with lured foils. Yes. Gordon also saying, Gordon Smith, KDY, that's the Royal Danish Yacht Club, used to have a youth women's team racing a Far 40, Team Maltesers. It was a brilliant program. We're already at 100. We get these messages now from Restream, the service we use to stream this to multiple platforms. Already over 100 messages, like that's some kind of a big deal. We get 200, 300, 400 messages. I wish I could get my son out of his Catalina Capri and back to his studies at Texas A&M, from Jonathan Frank. What else? With the comments, it is unfortunate that some are commenting on Sailing Illustrated and some on my page, Tom Ehman page. So we only get the chance to reply to those on the same channel that are watching. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that except to encourage people to go to the Sailing Illustrated Facebook page and comment. I can tell you that Restream and Facebook and YouTube are all working, I think, I'm told. They're working to really make this commenting back and forth work. And if we can find a better platform to do that, Julie, we will.
Yeah. YouTube has the best combination of those.
It doesn't, though. People don't like YouTube.
I know, but I mean,
people like Facebook, but the best combination of seeing all the comments,
right?
You're right, is on YouTube, and I could play it here somewhere, I guess, but I won't. But you're right as far as the best combination of seeing all the comments,
yes,
because the Facebook comments are ported over to YouTube, so you can see those that are on Sailing Illustrated, those that are on my page, those that are also going up on YouTube. And you can't comment if you're watching this on my Twitter feed. Tweet.
I know.
Tweet.
I know, and I really am a fan of all the comments, because they.
Yeah, what I was saying when I was starting to disagree with you is that the platform that people like, I think most of the folks, they like Facebook because
easier.
It's easier. They can have sub comments.
Right.
They can go back and forth. So I don't know. So that's Emmett's comment. Greetings all. Hello, Bill Parker. He's on YouTube as Flying Hulls. William Parker in Cincinnati. I like this Polish youth program. I think I read that. I want to go back to another comment, Julia, here. Luca Craig. I've been in Tauranga for a few months and go over to Mount Manganui each morning at Sparrow's Fart. Sparrow's Fart. You ever heard that expression? Sorry, I can't put this comment up. It's too far up the list. But early in the morning, we would say, dark 30, I guess. Yeah. I like Sparrow's Fart. For a walk, and the day after eruption, people were sitting around just above sea level watching the surf, which was rough as guts from a storm and combination of tsunami surges. Incidentally, you can see White Island from the top of Mount Manganui, and on a good, this is in New Zealand, obviously, and on a good day, see it blowing off steam. This is the one that erupted and killed and injured many people.
And yeah.
Okay, thanks for that comment.
Yeah. But I have a good friend in Taranga.
You do?
Hmm.
And there's comments about Ukraine and the Russians. Yeah, you're right. We don't really want to have to talk about military invasions on this show, do we? Something more pleasant like this picture. You know who sent this and where that's from?
No, it looks like Costa Rica.
It's not far. You're not far off. That's another picture from Grenada.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that Andrew sent, and he said, "Look at the modern way they now harvest. Harvest, is that the right word? I'll do it again. They see the ladder. They don't climb up the tree anymore with a machete. They put a big extendable ladder and a rope, and I assume the rope is how they get the coconuts down. I don't know, or maybe the rope is holding the tree from bending over. So when the person's up the ladder, they don't knock the top of the tree off.
Yeah.
And that's what that rope is doing. The guy is down there at the bottom. That's what it looks like. And he's holding onto the rope to stabilize the top of the tree. That's nuts, Gordon Smith said.
Mhm. No, it's really fresh coconut from the tree is good.
You like coconut?
Not usually.
Oh, you don't? My mother's reminding me, and this is a good point about how much fun it is in our sport and how cool people are. She said the first time she went to San Diego, we had a party at the at SDYC, and some young man joined us, and he literally had just sailed from Australia, and he pulled into San Diego. He got a dock space at San Diego Yacht Club, and was just so happy. And literally, he just had shown up, cleaned up his boat, came up to the bar, and we were all in the bar. I had a guitar. I think we were singing songs. We were singing, of course, and we called them up to join us, and we sang Waltzing Matilda, and they sang along. Was it more than one of them, Mom? I remember the one guy. Maybe there was more than one of them. And they sang along with tears streaming down their faces. It was a great party. She played her guitar too. Tommy didn't have his banjo back then. Okay. Thanks, Mom. Yeah. That's nuts. They used to shinny. Yeah, Andrew McErvin. They used to shinny up the tree. That's right. What I remember. Hand over hand. The rope is tied around his waist in case he falls off. Really? I don't think so. I think back on that picture, it looks to me like the rope is tied up here around the top of the tree to stabilize it. But maybe Andrew knows better.
Maybe it's both.
The rope is tighter in case he falls off. No banjo. Happy days, Gordon Smith is saying. Yeah, somebody stole my banjo. I need to take up a collection. That was a birthday present.
Yes, and it was a beautiful banjo.
And it was really a nice banjo. And it was a talk about antiques, it was a 20-something, 4, 5, 6 banjo, tenor banjo that had been used in an Irish jig band. And it got stolen when we had a break-in here at the Beach Street Yacht Club 5, 6, 7 years ago. Okay, I don't know what that... Oh, Andrew says, happy Fetish Day. He said, no, the rope is to lower the nuts. That's what I thought at first, and then I didn't see how that was working. So the rope it does look like it's tied up here at the top.
Yeah.
And then this person must slide the nuts down, Andrew, and lower the nuts. It's tied around his waist, then back to the ground. What crouton would steal another man's banjo? Shall I tell the joke again? The definition of a gentleman?
Uh-huh.
Is someone who knows how to play the banjo but does not. Okay, well, we got to get to the bottom of this, Andrew McErvin. We need a video, and we need to see it in 1080p. John Emmett is saying, yeah, we're in 720p, but we'll get Andrew, if he's got a minute or two, to get to the bottom of this nut situation here in Grenada. Thanks, Andrew, for that photo. Let's get to this day in history. Two things, actually. A lot of things happen on each of these days, but two kind of interesting things for the 21st of January here in the States anyway. This day in history. The first one, in fact, I put it in that list at the top of the show so that some of you who are more enterprising and are on Google might look it up. Yeah, 1990. Look at this. He says, yeah, banjo or accordion. Yeah, there's a couple jokes about somebody having a banjo and then
or an
accordion. Would Baby Shark play it on a banjo be an improvement or not? McEnroe was kicked out. David James, as usual, has come up with the right answer. What happened on this day in history in 1990? Here's the tape. I think here's the tape.
In 1990, John McEnroe, appearing for only his second time in Australia, took on the relatively unknown Swede Mikael Pernfors in the fourth round. But the volatile American, renowned for his on-court tantrums, received 3 code violations, one for intimidating a lineswoman.
Code violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, warning Mr. McEnroe.
One for smashing his racket.
Code violation, racket abuse, point penalty, Mr. McEnroe.
And the other for swearing at the umpire and the tournament referee.
McEnroe has overheard McEnroe swearing.
Code violation, verbal abuse, default, Mr. McEnroe.
Whoa!
Game, set, match, Pernfors.
That's the end of the match.
The former world number 1 thought he had one more violation before he would be ejected, and was leading 6-1, 4-6, 7-5, 2-4 at the time. But the code violation rules had just been reduced from 4 to 3 warnings, and McEnroe was defaulted, leaving the crowd aghast and himself in a state of disbelief. The Mac was also fined $6,500 US.
Wow, so much.
McEnroe, who had won 6 Grand Slam singles titles, only returned to the Australian Open once more in 1992, when he reached the quarterfinals. Despite never winning the tournament, this infamous moment ensured McEnroe's name has gone down in Australian Open folklore.
On this day in history, 21 January 1990, and David James had that right, as we said, and Bill Wingrove. You can't be serious! You know, there's television, those of you, maybe you see them in your countries, but in this country, there's television commercials with him doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be serious! Embarrassing, really. Yeah, great player, but terrible sportsman. Yeah, Mark Husted, I think we all agree. The John Daly of tennis. Yeah, but I don't think he was a drinker. Was he, Alan Long? I think John Daly had a bit of a drinking problem. He's certainly a big boy now. I saw when he played in that tournament not too long ago with his kid. Jack Everett says he's around Barbados Sailing Week race around Barbados today. Everything from sailboards, various molly hulls, keelboats to schooners. See the Facebook page or website. That sounds like fun, Jack. Thank you.
Yeah.
Andrew McIrvin saying, yeah, he's a great commentator now, but he backed Novak's. Yeah, he did back Novak's in his, but a lot of people did, especially a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
Back, Djokovic. What else happened on this day in history? This time in 2020. Do you know, Julie? Here's your first and only clue.
Well, obviously,
2 years ago today.
the newest
First confirmed case of COVID found in the U.S. This was the gentleman who had returned from China following a rapid spread from its origin in Wuhan, China. The first U.S. case, unless you believe the Chinese, it came from fish in Peru. The first U.S. case of the 2019 novel coronavirus, which causes a disease known, as you all know, as COVID-19, is confirmed in a man from the Washington state. That was here in this country. You already had a big problem in Europe, particularly northern Italy. The virus, which would spark a pandemic, was first reported in China on December 31. Yeah, I think it was reported a lot earlier before that.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway across the world on January 19th, a man who had returned home to Snohomish,
Mm-hmm.
right? Snohomish County in Washington State, up near Seattle, up near you, Stingray, on January 15th, after traveling to Wuhan, checked into an urgent care clinic after seeing reports of the outbreak, experiencing a cough, fever, nausea, and vomiting. He got himself to the hospital, I think, before he even had all these symptoms. The CDC announced on January 21st, 2 years ago today, that the 35-year-old had tested positive for COVID-19. We all freaked out. And that was before, Julia, that cruise ship showed up here that had people on it that were testing positive.
Yeah.
He was hospitalized where his condition grew worse and he developed pneumonia. His symptoms abated 10 days later. And, now it seems like everybody we know half the people he knows got it. I mentioned Chris Ray, who's he's still struggling with it, and he's my age, good Michigan boy and a St. Francis member, a good friend here. And then we know that staff commentator, who I won't name, but staff commentator who John Sengmeister knows well, is basically asymptomatic. He tested positive because he got exposed to somebody. And John Sengmeister had a bit of a rough case, but he did the therapeutics and came through it pretty quickly and seems to be in good shape. So that's Omicron. Hopefully that if any of us does get it, it's not so bad. That's what happened on this day in history, 2020. It is hard to believe, Julia. It has been 2 years.
Not hard for me to believe.
Does it seem longer or shorter?
Today it seems longer.
Yeah.
It changes. Sometimes it doesn't.
DT said it was nothing. He was selling. Who's DT, I wonder? He's talking about somebody who got COVID, I guess. DT said it was nothing. Stingray, the first case in the USA, was barely 10 minutes from his house up there in Seattle.
Wow.
Hello, Sandy Wertinen. Welcome. 1 month later, half my son's class were off sick after going skiing in Italy. Oh, goodness, man. Yes, we know so many with COVID now. And of course, not to talk too much about COVID, Julia, but we know that they're having a big surge in Australia of corona. And we know that Auckland, didn't you all in New Zealand, the PM said no more shutdowns, but she went to your new red level.
Yeah, everybody's red level, so they can travel within
the whole country went to red level.
Yeah.
So there's no. When I talked to Hamish Ross a couple of days ago, he said, yeah, that was before it. They think we're going to red level, but we're not going to have to be constrained to Auckland because Auckland was on some higher level than I don't know. I don't think this. Okay, let's don't get into it. We know what the problem is. Oh, our ex-president, Peter Salmon, is saying. And DT, Donald Trump, said it was nothing. Well, he had the therapeutics. I think he had a bad case of it as well. But, he's old and a little overweight. And that's what they tell you. If you're seriously obese, like it seems half the people in our country are anyway, that's what they got. Why don't they tell us that? Hey, folks, you got to get healthy. You got to stop smoking. You got to drop some weight. So if you get this, it won't affect you as badly. And apparently, Andrew McErban's on here, and I don't want to talk about COVID without him on here too extensively. But apparently, it's something about being fat soluble, and people who've got a lot of body fat that may hang around, and you may have long haul. I don't know.
You can still tell them everything, and they still might not do it because that's.
Well, that's true. But so Pedro Foiling Sailor, a.k.a. Peter Stevenson in Victoria, in Oz, they just went to the brown level. Very appropriate. He, of course, is in New South Wales. We have lots of sailing to look forward to in 2022. Yeah, it does seem, as we said in the last show, John, John Emmett, coming back. And there's a lot of sailing going on in the UK now, and even here in the US, and may it hopefully in your parts of the world as well. Ryman just checked in from Cape Town. He said it's going to be
already
38, already 38, but it's going, he said, to 40, I don't know, closing in on 50 over the weekend. So stay cool down there in Cape Town, Ed Ryman. And thanks for that. So let's go to, we're cruising through this show. God, that's loud. I thought I turned that down. Let's go to this segment in honor of our birthday boy today, Jody Shields. Is it correct or croutonic? And this is the question. Now, you know who those three people are, Julia?
Yes.
Her Majesty the Queen.
Prince Charles and Princess Anne.
Correct. Princess Anne. We did not go over this in the tech check. You know what the headline out of the UK, one of the headlines out of the UK this morning is? The Queen is being urged to change, this is our corrector croutonic segment now. The Queen is being urged to change the line of succession as Princess Anne, quote, would make a far better monarch than her brothers.
That's probably true.
Is that correct or croutonic? What sayeth you, Julia?
I think that's a good idea.
What do the rest of you think?
Not that it'll happen, but I think it's
not that it'll happen. Well, I think Andrew McErban agrees. Too true. And I've met Andrew not Andrew McErvin. I met Prince Andrew a number of times and hosted him here and there at various yachting events. And he, of course, was the president of honor. He was Commodore, the honorary Commodore of the Royal Thames Yacht Club until he got eased last week when the Queen took away his remaining titles. And I have met Anne, the Princess Royal, any number of times at sailing venues as well. Her kids sail, she sailed. She is, I think, still president of the Royal Yachting Association, the honorary president. She shows up at the dinghy show at is that still at, where do they do the dinghy show, guys and gals? They do that at Ali Pali, at Alexander Palace, I think, in the UK. So is it correct or croutonic? She is the only one who sails, McErvin says yes, and that's why I think it'd be great to have another sailing monarch.
Mm-hmm.
Morris Stevens up in Canada, correct, but it would take an act of parliament. Well, that wouldn't be that hard. Correct, the boss said not correct. Pedro says it's correct, but apparently his wife says not correct. Alan Long agrees with Julia, 2 hearts. Off with his head, Jonathan. Princess Anne is great, Ryman says. Stingray William is the only one that royal family with an actual brain. Now, Anne is really sharp as a tack, Stingray. And I think that's why there's so much support. This will never happen, Saldana says, down South America, as the Queen will never die. Well, long live the Queen. She is, and not just honorary. She takes a real interest, McErvin is saying.
Yes.
Mr. Dr. Andrew is saying about her interest in leadership in the Royal Yachting Association. Henry Thorpe, William and Kate. Yeah, she could identify as a brother. Oh, Roger, that's a terrible comment. But she's also president of the FEI. You know what that is? The International Equestrian Federation.
Oh, yes.
The French initials.
Yes, yes.
The Queen is the patron and the Princess Royal, the president of the Royal Yachting Association, Emmett says. Thanks, John. Mark Husted replying to Stingray, you mean Kate. You mean, I don't know if he means or he's being mean. I think he just, Kate. When he was up there talking about, I don't know, wouldn't you, Julia, you'd put her in as, instead of Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Charles is old and he's kind of fusty and he's had that whole situation.
Absolutely.
His wife and kids and you'd put Anne in.
Right.
And then, I don't know, you'd then go to William, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think that's what I would do if I were the Queen of England.
Just wait a minute.
Well, most of you think it's correct. Okay, that's our segment today.
Now,
What? Go ahead.
Who's urging the Queen to do that? I think it's nice.
Well, now that's a good and fair question, because that is a clickbait headline out of some women's website in the UK, but it showed up on my news feed because I must click on royalist stuff a lot. And, we've run some stuff of late on here, so I must be clicking it. But that is a good question. I don't know who's urging it other than third person, some clickbait website in the UK.
Yeah.
Put Charles out to pasture, Ryman says. I mean, Kate is the better choice. Oh, Kate better than William, Mark Husted is saying. An Aussie living in Sweden, married to a Thai. He is an international man of mystery. Zara Gordon Smith is saying would make a pretty feisty Princess Royal in Anne's place. Okay.
Who's Zara?
Zara is the daughter of who? Is she Andrew's Prince Andrew, one of Prince Andrew's kids? Or is that one of Anne's? Is that one of Anne's kids? I can't remember. One of the Brits will tell us here in a moment, Julia.
Okay.
Without doubt. As our comments run around the world. Somebody could Google it faster.
Zara isn't a princess.
Yeah, I think that got. I think as they've made the monarchy. Yeah, it's Anne's daughter.
Yeah.
I've met Zara at a breakfast in Kiel, of all places. Now that I think about it, I mean that's her. Both her daughters were there sailing. How about Princess Charlotte? You royalists can go on and carry on. I'm a royalist too, but let's carry on. America's Cup news. I talked to Magnuses, I think I mentioned at the top of the show, and there is not a lot of America's Cup news. It's all very closely held, and it's like President Biden is whispering, and then shouting, and that's what's going on here. Nobody really knows what's going on, so we're not going to purport ourselves to know what's going on until I have a real one here's for you. But this has legs, what I told you the other day, and whether it's Qatar or somebody else who's coming in with money, because the Qataris, after I ran this, several of you pinged me and said, the Qataris are famously, they're great at over-promising and under-performing, promising money to various sailors and sailing events, and then not coming through with it. And there aren't very many people that believe there's Qatari money backing a Barcelona bid. It could be more likely other Middle Eastern money, but who knows? I still think, and by the way, more and more people, Julia, are coming around to my thinking on this, that it's going to be in Auckland. Time is running out.
We've always thought that.
Well, you and I have always thought that, but other people are saying that sooner or later, these two gentlemen will get their,
their act together.
I don't know if they'll get their act together. They'll get to the table, and with pressure from Jim Farmer, and so Mr. Dunphy, Mr. Farmer, Mr. Dalton, and then also with the pressure that remains from this guy I'm told by several New Zealand sources that Sir Edmund Thomas, Ted as he's called, Sir Ted, prominent retired judge, former judge of their Supreme Court, their High Court, is adamant that he will not let the event go out of New Zealand. He will sue to keep it in New Zealand, and he thinks he's got grounds. I don't know what the grounds are. I don't know whether that lawsuit has legs or not. But I still think it's going to end up, as I know you do, Julia, it's going to end up in Auckland. The time is running out. Even if if it's going to be in Auckland in 2024, that's 2 years from now. It's from 2 years from December, last month. If it's going to be in someplace in Europe, especially in the Middle East, that's 2 years from now too, because it's got to be in the wintry months. It can't be in the middle of their summer. If it's going to be in Europe, Cork, or in Spain, or that's the only places we're hearing about, yeah, it might be, but May is the sweet month in Spain, in most parts of Spain. So that's just 2 months and change from now. I still think 2024 is suspect.
And you've said before, Auckland didn't really get a chance to celebrate
this last time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they deserve to have that chance.
And as Stingray says, the facilities and money offers are still all on in Auckland. And Graham Sweeney's checking in from up near Scotland, up in the UK, Shetland. I just think.
Oh,
look at this comment by Andrew McErvin.
I know.
Jacinda, who is Cindy, as Richard Gladwell likes to call her. Richard's not a fan of hers. Cindy won't have rejoined the world by then. Yeah, that's an issue, is whether they're going to open the country up, but will she still be around by then? That's another question.
That's a good reason to take her out, to vote her out.
Well, what's my eyes?
She's been, I must say though, she's been a positive influence until now, I think.
Cindy?
Yeah.
I think she tried to be. I think the whole COVID zero policy is just, I don't know. I don't know the hospital situation in New Zealand, and that obviously is what the big issue is. There's a comment here from Emmett, and I'm going to try to click on it, see if I can play it here on my comment screen. Again, hopefully he's not taking us to some porn. What is that? Is that Jody? Where did that come from, Emmett? That's a great picture. I better get out of that, Julia.
Oh yeah.
Huh? How do I get out of that? I don't know what to do. Go back. Okay, there's back to the. So that was interesting. What's the chance that they'll tour the Cup preliminary and then have the bun fight in New Zealand? Cindy has a wedding, so after that, then she'll deal with other issues. That came from Jody's wife, from Rhonda. Did that show up on your screens?
On mine.
Well, did it? Is that on the program feed now?
I don't have Rhonda.
Think it is. I don't think it is. I think
John Emmett. That came from Jody's wife, and then
I've just got the comments up here. Thank God, Jody's long lost twin sister. Can you, John Emmett? Can you put that on some other feed for me? Put that on either so it's one of the other DM it to me, and then I can put it up here on the screen. Good thing, because it doesn't show up here on the comments, and I know how to do that if you send it to me on some other platform, either on WhatsApp or on Messenger, or Facebook Messenger, or even messages. Jody's, we want to see Jody's long lost twin sister. So Emmett has this picture. It's very revealing.
I've got it here.
Yeah, but I can't put it. I've got it here too, but I can't put it up on the screen unless I get it over here on this other computer from. Okay, Emmett sent it to me now. Thank you, John. And we'll have it up here forthwith. Jody's long lost sister. Now, Rhonda, his wife, has sent that to Emmett on Jody's birthday. Happy birthday, Jody. What a good look. Huh?
Yes.
Oh, I wish I'd had that before.
Yeah, that's lovely. Okay. It can show up as an afterthought.
You think? The mayor of Malaga spoke more about ETN's interest in Malaga than about the vice versa. Yeah, Morris Stevens is laughing about that picture. Well, it is a good picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe we have to have a cocktail party. If things are going to be this slow over the next few weeks, maybe we get Andrew Pindar to host a cocktail party when he gets. I think he's still in Switzerland. And I better change this picture when we start talking about Andrew Pindar.
Yes.
Okay, I want to stay on the cup, but move forward here to my favorite segment of the day. Cup Insider is an independent source of news and expert views, or so they call themselves. This is our longtime friend Justin Chisholm, is a Brit living now in Spain, down in Mallorca. He's written for various yachting magazines in the UK. He's got a couple of websites now on his own, including Cup Insider, created by British sailing journalist Justin Chisholm. Now, there is Justin. He also is involved in the last Cup as a communications manager for the Cup, for the Challenger Selection Series. He, as I said, is a Brit who's living in Mallorca, in España. Now, he also, it turns out, was a fin sailor back in the day. Now, I digress here. I'm going to tell you what he's telling us about the Cup, but first I'm going to tell you some more about Justin. And so a sailing club that I learned about today and had to check with John Emmett to be sure I had the details right. It's called, this is a photo from 2004 of Justin Chisholm sailing his fin. So this is almost 20 years ago, sailing in a regatta called the Tipsy Icicle Series at Lee and Loughton Sailing Club near Manchester in the UK. Now, again, I digress because I love sailing clubs and I love to see what goes on even in the middle of the winter in Great Britain. This Tipsy Icicle Regatta, I think, is a 3-month regatta, 12-week regatta that goes on January, February, and March. Correct me if I'm wrong, any of you, Brits or otherwise. Krasimir's on in Bulgaria saying, hi all from ice-bricked Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Pindar says, no, I'm back from Switzerland as the Magenta Project high-level meeting has come to a close. Okay, we're going to love the bottle of the rack there. I'll talk about Jody. But let's go back to this club. This is a cool club, and this was a picture from 2020, week 4, the end of January. This is end of January 2020. The Tipsy Icicle Series. What a great name for a regatta.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this club is pretty cool. Look at this. Is it Lee or Lay? Lee and Loughton. Brits would pronounce this. John, when I talked to Emmett this morning, he said that's one of those words that unless you're a local, you don't know how to pronounce it, or you can tell somebody is not a local by how they mispronounce it. Cool club. It's up, as I said, by Manchester, out on a lake, or what I would call a lake, but it's actually out on a flash. It's on Pennington Flash. Now, I'm telling you, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. I started out talking about the America's Cup in an America's Cup article by Justin Chisholm, and I've taken you on this. What is a flash? A flash is a water-filled hollow formed by, you know how to pronounce that word?
Subsidence?
No, I had to look it up. Subsidence.
Oh, subsidence.
Subsidence. I had to look it up because I thought it was subsidence too. and maybe in the U.S. it is, but it's formed by subsidence. Now, what is subsidence? Bennington Flash is a 70-hectare, 170-acre lake created at the turn of the 20th century. So it's, not only 100 plus years, by coal mining subsidence, mainly from the Bickershaw Colliery. Before the flash, the area contained 2 farms, both of which were abandoned in the early 1900s due to flooding.
Mm-hmm.
So the word of the day, my mother will be impressed, is either subsidence or subsidence. I actually looked up the pronunciation.
Yeah, because water subsides.
And there's not only land subsidence when the land falls out and it goes. There's also air subsidence. I learned today. Atmospheric subsidence, and that's when the heavier air above falls through warmer air down to the bottom. I remember subsidence from Geology 101.
I'm proud of you.
Rocks for jocks, they called that course. I wasn't even really a college jock. Here we are, we're learning English. There's hope, Tom Ehman, for your English. Albacores, yes, those are albacores. Well done, Baton Rouge. It's Baton Kennon down in Charleston, South Carolina. Albacore is popular in Canada and some of the lakes up there are west of Toronto and anything else. Either will do, McErvin says, and he's a learned doctor, either will do has happened to my house, so I know about it. Do you know what else, Julia, subsidence has happened to? There's perhaps the most famous historical subsidence in the world, the Leaning Tower. And you know when that was built?
1173.
Right. So this UNESCO World Heritage Site, including the rest of the Duomo and the baptistry and the cemetery, begun in 1173. The tower began to lean almost immediately thanks to soil subsidence. To try to halt the tilt, as we all probably know, cables and counterweights have been inserted. A spiral staircase with nearly 300 steps leads to the top of this unique, iconic building. And the question is, have you been up to the top?
No. You know me. I don't go.
You don't do the stairs too well.
No.
Well, you probably did back in the day, though.
Well, no, if I had to.
Well, I was there when we had a World Youth Championships in Livorno, in the northwest part of Italy. I was the U.S. team coach. I took the kids. We went up and had to go to Pisa, which is nearby, and to Firenze. And I'll tell you, it's a spectacular site.
I've been there.
Sadly, that day, it was closed. You couldn't go up the stairs.
I think it was closed when I was there, too.
I think we could go up one level, but I can't 100% remember. Okay, now that's the whole digression from Justin Chisholm's article about the America's Cup. You laugh. But let's get into it, because this article is real. I commend it to you. Go have a read of it online. I'm just going to take, as usual, some excerpts. It's about Martin Fischer, the German gentleman who has, Dr. Martin Fischer, the designer, has moved from LR Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, he was the head of their design team last time, to IB, Ineos Britannia. Yeah. And this is the good doctor who is, he has a haircut the way, the way my hair looked on that test the other day that some of you saw, sadly. Justin Chisholm of YachtRacing.life and CupInsider.com interviews Ineos Britannia's high-profile design team acquisition. This was from an article about this article on sail-world, sail-world.com. Ineos Britannia's new chief designer, Dr. Martin Fischer, looks exactly the way you would expect a brilliant scientist, naval architect to look, serious and steely-eyed behind an impressively large pair of black-framed spectacles. The German designer's appearance is softened considerably by his hairstyle, an undeniably unruly crop of pure white hair that immediately puts you in the mind of Albert Einstein. For the 37th Cup, Fischer has switched allegiances from Luna Rossa to join Sir Ben Ainsley's Ineos Britannia syndicate, the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team boosted challenger of record for AC37. Justin Chisholm tracked him down to his desk at the team's new base in the vast Mercedes F1 team HQ in Brackley, in the UK, outside of London, to find out more about his move to the British team and to quiz him on the changes to the AC75 design rule and their potential impact on AC37. And I just have a couple excerpts here that I thought were quite illuminating. Cup Insider. This will be your second time working for an America's Cup team acting as the challenger of record. Is there some advantage to being the COR? Martin Fisher, because you are involved in the rules discussions, that's an advantage. Not a huge advantage, but an advantage nonetheless, nevertheless. It means you get a head start on the rules at least. Plus, if there are things you don't like, you can negotiate that. That is the understatement of the America's Cup year or cycle, because it is a huge advantage to be the defender or the challenger of record, be on the inside looking in rather than be on the outside waiting to see what dribbles out and when from the defender and the challenger record to the other teams, having been in both shoes now, these many times, 13, 14 times over the years, 13 times. And it's a huge understatement. And that's why Ineos has such an advantage in my never so humble opinion, Julia, this time. Yeah.
And they've been working continuously.
As did Prada last time.
Yeah.
Especially on a new class. That's, where they keep it close. Okay, there's more. Justin asks, how much was your decision to join the British syndicate for the 37th Cup influenced by the team's tie-in with the Mercedes F1 team? Martin Fisher said, of course, I knew that Mercedes had been involved with the British team to a certain degree during AC36. But when I got in contact with Ben at the beginning, I didn't know about the new relationship. So, of course, that was a nice surprise, a very nice surprise even. Even before that, though, I thought that this team looked interesting and it was one I really wished to join. I think I'm getting dyslexic. There's a couple of double words in there, or is that me? Is that my eyesight failing? No, I tease. There's some double words in it. Looking back to the last America's Cup, Justin's asking, Martin, between the Italians and New Zealand, from your unique vantage point, was it ultimately because the Kiwis had a faster boat that they won?
Oh. Yes.
The fastest boat always wins, Justin. Martin says, yes, the boat was definitely quicker at the beginning. We did pretty well, and I think that was because we had more race practice than the Kiwis. Yes, obviously they did. They'd raced the Americans and the Brits. Also, our boat had an advantage at the start. We had bigger foils, and therefore we had more possibilities at the start, so that gave us an advantage. And I think he also goes on to say in this article that they won something like 7 of the 11 starts in that series, or so he Martin, and I think from memory recollection that is correct. So the point is that here Dr. Martin Fisher, in this nice article in Cup Insider, I commend it to you. It's a longer article, and you might even want to subscribe. It's a pay site, but Justin runs some stuff for free. Martin Fisher's interview on cupinsider.com. Google it. You can go there and find the rest of that and any number of other interesting pieces about the Cup. Not always timely, but usually for the most part. So thank you, Justin, for that. Comments, let's see. Every advantage counts, Emmett is saying. Stingray saying they had start advantage, won't be nearly as big as last time, hopefully. Yes, well, we'll see. There's some back and forth about wine, and okay, we won't go into that. Can't call it sunny Pensacola today. Talbot Wilson's checking in. Hi, Talbot, down in Pensacola on the panhandle of Florida. 34 degrees this morning with drizzle. But springtime is around the corner, maybe 3 more weeks of winter. Everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. My mother's liking the picture of Jody Shields, which we finally got up on the screen. You like that, Mom?
Jody must like it, too.
Somebody must, yeah, his wife wouldn't have sent it to us, but somebody's got to tell us when that was taken. But Jody just turned 50 today, so that's cool. What other comments here, Julie? Martin Fisher would make a brilliant guest. Yes, Stingray, I've asked him if he's willing and able to come on, and we shall see. Hopefully we'll get him on sooner than later. But I think the CTO for that team, who we ran a video on not too long ago, he'd be interesting as well, the F1 guy.
Yes.
Okay, just to here in the D block now, a little Sail GP note. This picture, one of you sent me. I put it up on. And Peter Stevenson, I can't remember who, maybe Peter did, or maybe even Jody did. But this is such a fantastic photo. Could have been Husted too, of the Inspire program that Sail GP is running, and they're getting the skippers out with the kids. I think this was during the Sydney event, obviously the Cup. And look at the faces on these kids.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is that cool or what?
Yes. All smiles.
And this is what another thing our sport can do, and I'm glad to see Russell and Co are doing this. It's just fantastic stuff. James Allison, yeah, Stingray. That's who I was talking about to get on, but I digress here again. Let's stick with this. This is, I think, the photo of the week. Sail GP's Inspire program, where they're using smaller boats, and the kids are also getting to race in and around each of the Sail GP regattas. And we'll see how that goes here in San Francisco, the end of March. Jonathan Frank saying a lifetime memory for those kids. Isn't that the truth? Like my mother still says, Julia, that the time that she went up the elevator with Dennis Connor.
Yeah.
She'll never forget that.
Right.
And she said, Hi, Mr. Connor. I'm Tommy's mom. And Dennis, I kid you not, Dennis said, I didn't know he had a mother. My mother thought that was so cool. Dennis, and I thought it was funny too. I didn't take any offense. Dennis later that night called at our home and wanted to talk to my mom and just to apologize. I didn't mean to say that. He was just being funny. Dennis is clever, but yeah, the wasp. Mark Husted is saying the wasp is key. They bought some wasps now, the little Foiling One designs, smaller version of the moth, and I think it's cool. But also they have this program called the Impact League, where they're scoring the teams based on their greenness, based on how sustainable, how their carbon footprint and so on, and the efforts that they're making to make their teams lower their carbon footprint. Now, this is somewhat, part of it's in French, but we have subtitles. This is a cool video nonetheless. Have a look.
L'Impact League, c'est un classement en parallèle du classement sportif qui vise à juger nos actions qu'on met en place pour réduire notre impact environnemental sur les événements et tout au long de l'année. Le but, c'est de réduire notre empreinte carbone et d'augmenter l'inclusion dans la voile. Et donc, on a une dizaine de critères, parmi lesquels on a la durabilité, l'innovation, la diversité et l'inclusion, la réduction de nos déchets à usage unique. À la fin de la saison, il y aura un vainqueur sur le classement sportif et un vainqueur de l'Impact League qui se verra verser des fonds attribués directement à son partenaire Impact League, en l'occurrence Energy Observer pour France Sail GP Team. Du coup, sur l'événement de Sydney, chaque membre de l'équipe est investi d'une responsabilité pour performer sur l'Impact League. Pour ma part, ça va être de peser tous nos déchets et d'attribuer la barre le plus souvent possible à Hélène pour qu'elle puisse prendre des sensations à bord et avoir une nouvelle expérience à bord du F50.
Cette semaine, je mesure les déchets produits par l'équipe navigante.
Je m'intéresse à ce que les navigants mangent un maximum localement et végétarien.
This week, I am going to try and find some innovative solutions to reduce the amount of plastic we use on the F50.
Cette semaine, je vais mesurer la consommation d'eau de l'équipe.
This week, I will ride a bike to and from the tech site every day.
This week, I'm going to drive our rib in the most efficient way I possibly can. And I'm going to monitor my daily fuel log and consumption.
Cette semaine, je vais utiliser les réseaux sociaux de l'équipe pour parler de nos actions en faveur de l'environnement.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
L'idée, c'est d'inscrire la Ligue et l'équipe française dans une dynamique de respect de l'environnement et d'inclusion sociale.
Okay, cool video. I don't know what that little clip was of the military guys and the little kid. I'm doing my part. Strange.
Well,
but wasn't that a cool video?
Yeah.
Stingray is saying that so far, Pete and Blair Tukes Kiwi Sail GP team is leading on impact points. Credit to them. And a couple other points there. Their campaign is for the Albatross is great. Yes. Starship Troopers cult film. Okay, Emmett. See, I don't know this stuff. I'm too old. Starship Troopers, Graham Sweeney knew the same thing. I'm doing my part. Cool stuff. Don't you think, Julia?
Yes.
One other comment here. Mark Husted is replying to Mark Husted. Jonathan Frank, it's just a design. I guess you're talking about the WASP. The design that the timing is right for the evolution of a sport. Now the argument of if foiling belongs in the sport, which wasn't so long ago, seems Luke's.
If fouling.
No, foiling. He means foiling.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, I think foiling belongs in the sport, which wasn't so long ago. Seems that was decades ago. Okay, great that they all share good ideas between the teams. Duncan Withrose. Yes, Duncan, up in Canada. I agree, and I think it's a nice. I mean, if nothing else, it gets everybody thinking about what they can do to reduce waste and increase efficiency. And
yes,
you know, it's because in some ways it's kind of strange that this sport where you got all these carbon boats and all these power boats running around out there chasing around, and you got people flying around the world in jets, and then we talk about wow, you got to do. Then a volcano goes off, and where's what's her name? Greta Thunberg. When we need her.
Yeah.
Okay, Julia, that gets us to the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot segment. And let's see what we've got today, thanks to our Fozy. These all come in through Fozy. You don't send these to us, and we won't have this segment. And what's wrong with your snowman? It's talk about diversity, inclusivity. It's a snow woman. A kid says, So he's now making his own snowman, and his mom comes out and says, I don't care. We're not having an anatomically correct snowman in the front yard. He was going to put the carrot nose, I think, someplace else. Carrot and two coals for eyes, right? This is, come on, International Fetish Day, Julie.
Yes.
We got to have some
fetishes.
Well, I don't know what fetishes are. That came from Chris Ray, who we talked about suffering through a bad case of COVID. Not so good case. He's not going to die or anything. Now, this, I'm not going to set it up more than to say this came from one of our Fozy and Oz. And you have to listen carefully. So turn up your volume because it's a lot of fun.
Hey, mate. Heard you could help me out.
Yeah, mate. Vic, New South Wales. I got rat tests from all over the country. 95% accuracy. You're not getting this anywhere else.
Oh, whatever, I'll take anything.
Oi! What's going on here? Nothing. No, I'm selling drugs. I'm selling him drugs. I'm buying weapons. Oi! Is that a rat test?
A rapid test. Meaning rapid test.
I'm positive.
Stay back. 1.5 meters.
If you've never seen a TikTok before, now you have.
Yeah. I've seen them.
I know you have, but I'm saying to our Fozy in the crowd, there's a fair few TikToks about yacht racing and sailing. I think I mentioned on the show the other day. But I mean, you have to admit that was funny.
Yes.
We find it better to do it than the they're talking about foiling still. Nobody's talking about what I thought was hilarious. That was fun, Gordon Smith. Okay, thanks, Gordon. Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. Brilliant, Jonathan Frank said. And a nice TikTok. And then finally, Julia, to wrap up, international, not national. This is not an American holiday. This is an international day started in Great Britain. Victoria's Secret model, huh? So what is Victoria's little secret? I used to be Victor. I don't think that's a fetish, is it?
No.
Come on. It probably was not correct, but it's cleaner than some of the others. I mean, some of the things, I've run a couple by you.
Yes.
And you said, no way, right? Ha, 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 Gordon Smith said, yep, okay, well, Victoria's Secret. Okay, enough of that. Told you it was a slow day. That gets us to the finish line. And on the finish line, we do our normal thing. Julie, over to you.
Yes. Please take this opportunity to like, follow, and share and amaze your friends with
with our sense of humor and how dirty we are, and what the things we talk about on this show besides sailing. Comments are welcome too, as you all know, and most of you will know, and if you're new here, leave us a comment and say thank you, or tell us if you think we're croutonic. Give us a thumbs down if you think we're, let us know what you think. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the feedback. You can click the bell to get notified when we are live or when we're going live. And we appreciate, of course, and thank all of you who have supported us on Patreon, Sailing Illustrated. It's our Patreon site, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated, $5 a month. If nothing else, help us buy a cup of coffee or a bottle of tequila, right?
Yes.
Lots of credits again today for all of those. Julia, final word.
Enjoy every day.
Final comments. Take care, and my thanks, people. Gordon Smith says, Stingray, what's your vector, Victor? Remember that? Krasimir in Bulgaria, the new reality soon. Checking the trunk will not be enough. You never know when you will have a Victoria. Fun show, Ted Ryman. Thanks, Ted, for your contributions. And back and forth. Mark Husted said he joined TikTok 2 weeks ago. The way we think kids think is so far from what we think. Yeah, good point. Good point. We'll see what's going on in the Cup. We're expecting some news from Alinghi, some big news, by the way, from Alinghi soon. And then we'll maybe have a one hears about that next Tuesday.
Good.
Okay?
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend wherever in the world you are. Happy birthday again to Jody Shields. And we'll see you Tuesday. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao.